What movie ducked you straight in your feelings? Fox and the Hound. We'll always be friends forever, won't we? Apostrophe. Yeah. Forever. Apostrophe. Greater than sign exclamation mark. How they echo that dialogue from when they were kids at the very end of the movie after they've grown up and succumbed to their ways as natural enemies. Duck, that was heartbreaking. Exclamation mark. A movie dealing with tribalism. Wanting to be accepted by one's peers. Conflict between groups. And how this often ruins cross-group friendships of individuals. And they managed to tell that story in a child-friendly way. What a masterpiece. The Iron Giant. You stay, I go. Big Hero 6. My older cousin passed away a couple months before, and I lost it cause I felt like the younger brother. My sister protected me through childhood and now is a terrible addict. This is such a good movie, but it always makes me ugly cry. Super underrated movie. Good Will Hunting. Deals with a lot of issues that many people have, and always hits hard. It's not your fault. Just reading the quote put tears in my eyes. The Neverending Story. They look like such strong hands, don't they? Apostrophe. Kids movie. My ass. The Land Before Time always got me when I was young. Fuck Sharp Tooth. The thought of my parents dying never really crossed my mind until I saw it. Really scarring, but also a good wake-up call for younger kids to appreciate and cherish what they have right now. But at the same time, WTF. That shit was a little too heavy for a 3-year-old. When Littlefoot sees his mother's shadow. Man, that really got me as a kid. The Iron Giant. Superman. As his eyes slowly close. Close bracket. The Iron Giant is a masterpiece. I couldn't agree more. This movie has more depth and feeling than many big budget live action movies that I've seen. SLC Punk. Bob, you ducking poser. Apostrophe. When Matthew Lillard ugly cries. I ugly cry. Such a good movie. I wasn't ready for this. Gets me every time. About time. Towards the end of the film always hits a little too deep. I think what got me is that I went in thinking it was just going to be a random nothing sort of movie. His dad's speech at the reception, and then the last time he played ping pong with him. Right in the feels. Greater than sign exclamation mark. When his dad realized it was their last conversation. I get you. This is it then. Apostrophe. Greater than sign exclamation mark. It was so sad. And happy. And loving and sweet. He was okay with it. More than that. He was happy his son had a baby on the way. He was just sad. Also, that he wouldn't see his son again. And of course Bill Nighy made the moment as great as any person could. Moment like that in movies are what movies are all about. They're what life's all about. Big Fish. I can't not cry in those final scenes. So we went to see Big Fish in theaters. Picture it 2003 in a dark theater. We get to the end, where goodbyes are said and stories are told. My dad is holding my hand and I suddenly feel him shaking. My dad is sobbing and shaking because of the heartfelt goodbye that the son gives to his father. Why, you may ask? 7 years prior in 1996 my dad found my grandfather after he had completed suicide. My dad never got to say goodbye or tell him how much he loved him. Hold your loved ones close and check on those you know need it. For the men reading this, there is not shame in getting help for your mental health. It's never too late. My dad died unexpectedly not long before that came out. I, too, went and saw it in theaters. Had no idea what it was going. Was definitely not prepared for that shit. Wall-E. My toddler is developing empathy when Eve was frantically pushing Wall-E's buttons. She turns to me with a quivering lip and says, "What's happening, Mama?" And that made me lose it. Good God, how could you ever keep it together? Stand By Me. Stephen King stories always hit home for me. Brings me back to when I was a kid and everything was an adventure with your best friends forever. Turns out, forever isn't really that long. I wish there was a way to know that you're in the good old days before you've actually left them. Andy Bernard. This would be a rare answer, but that I'm still here montage from Treasure Planet really got to me. It was so depressing to see that Jim's father leave him as a kid and never got back. and was the main reason why Jim had been suffering from depression. Plus later in the movie, John Silver said something very touching to Jim after the serious journey they've been on. "You really gonna rattle the stars. You are. Edit. Treasure Planet is indeed an underrated but amazing Disney film. And I just really wish more people could watch it so they could relate to Jim. I love this answer. Hit me hard when I watched it growing up cause my father was never around either. Still one of my favorite movies and favorite songs to this day. The scene where Mr. Arrow has just died and everyone blames Jim. Silver gives him the beautiful speech about how he's got the makings of greatness in him. Jim just looks up at him with tears in his eyes and then leans into Silver's stomach. So defeated he can't even lift his arms. And Silver looks around and then hugs this amazing kid whom no one else believed in. Water works every time. Fox and the Hound. I'm 32 and I just watched it again with my son. It's still heartbreaking. I don't often cry when I watch movies. But Fox and the Hound, all I have to do is think about the scene where the old lady is dropping Todd off and his slow realization of what's happening. And I start bawling like a baby. Dang it. Why did I even open this thread? Blue Valentine. For some reason, that movie felt very real to me and I straight bawled my eyes out for the last 10 minutes. Watched it not knowing what it was about when my partner and I were in a really crappy place. Needless to say, that did not make it more comforting. A Beautiful Mind. My grandpa was schizophrenic and I never understood it until I watched this movie. Yes. Forgot to mention this one. The ending when they gave him their pens killed me. So touching. Watership Down. That is not a kid's movie. Straight up. That was one of 3 VHS movies we had in our car. That, Tremors, and Austin Powers, Goldmember. And this was when we were 10. Who was in charge of us? Exclamation mark. Edit. It was Tremors 3. My apologies. What do you mean? Goldmember is toit. The Pixar short film Lava. I cry every time. Please tell me I'm not the only one. I felt so bad for that damn lonely volcano. My son, around 4 years old, discovered it on YouTube. I looked over and he was just softly sobbing. Then I watched it and did the same thing. He still rewatches it and cries, but then is so happy when they are together at the end. The empathy is strong with the kid. Don't let him lose that. Not everyone is okay with empathetic boys and it's a damn shame. Life is Beautiful. It's the perfect movie. It's funny at start, romantic, emotional and sad, and has a beautiful end. I absolutely love that movie. Buongiorno Principessa. 3. One of the 8 movies I found worthy to own on DVD. One of my favorite memories was being made to watch it for a class in high school. Just a room full of 15-year-olds collectively falling in love with this brilliant, quirky man. And then listening to him being gunned down in a camp just hours from liberation. So many shattered children. What dreams may come. I had to watch this movie for a class right after my GF of the year committed suicide. It broke me and put me back together again. I don't know if it'll ever not make me cry. Sorry to hear that, dude. Gets me right in the feels. Hachiko, A Dog's Tale. I still haven't recovered. I choke up explaining the movie and the fact that it's based on a true story. It's just too much. John Wick. My wife died on September 3rd of that year. My dog had just gotten out of spinal surgery and wasn't walking, and might or might not. I didn't know it yet, but my car that I'd had for 15 years was going to die on me. I may have been the only person in a theater crying about his wife and his dog at a deep, raw level. Bridge to Terabithia. I was way too young for the emotional trauma that movie hit me with. Yeah, same for me. I was in phase of discovering what liking someone feels like, and that thing hit like a train loaded with trains. I'm still yet to watch it without crying so many years later. Meet the Robinsons. Gets me every time. I've always wanted to adopt, but we just don't have $30,000 to buy a kid. Those kids just need love. Man, I got that to give. If you adopt out of the foster system in the US, it's free. They even pay you while you're fostering. Though it's a coin toss on if you'll get a kid that you'll connect with. or one that's had so much trauma that they are difficult to care for, which I'm glad there are people with enough determination to actually take care of those kids. Steel Magnolias. Damn graveyard scene gives me the ugly cries every time. It's my go-to when I need a good cry. Sally Fields is an amazing actor. No matter how many times I watch it, the grief is palpable. $1 Million Baby. Damn it, that poor girl worked so ducking hard, only to have it end like that. Gut punch. Stuck on a plane at Philadelphia for 6 hours. They won't let us off the plane. The kid behind me just kept kicking my chair. The poor mama had a baby also. This movie was obviously the one they chose to play to while away the time. I cry very easily at anything on TV, even commercials. I was a complete and total mess at the end of this movie, and I hate crying where people will see me. Thankfully, the large bearded man next to me was also tearful and offered me his spare handkerchief. The perks of being a wallflower. I went in knowing very little, but I sadly figured out the thing with the aunt very early. The movie for that was solid as duck. Check out the book too if you liked the movie. The book gets more into his relationship with his sister, which I really appreciated and missed in the movie. I didn't know there was a book. Just bought it on Kindle because of your comment. Thanks a lot. One of my favorite movies. Unrelated, but it is simply amazing that you can buy a book with literally one click and just start reading right away. Coco. Started crying midway through the movie. Finished the movie and cried for an hour after while FaceTiming my boyfriend. Coco ducked me up in ways I wasn't expecting. I expected there to be some sad bits that might make me tear up. I did not expect to just be silently crying for the last half of the movie and the whole car ride home for reasons that I still can't really explain. The Lovely Bones. Had just lost my younger sibling to cancer a few months prior, and the parts of the girl in the afterlife had me crying so ducking hard. Short Term 12. A small indie flick that I didn't think I'd be into much, but which ended up being one of the best movies I will ever see. Also features a surprisingly large number of cast members that have since become famous. Brie Larson, Rami Malek, Caitlin Dever, Rosa from B99. Lakeith Stanfield was looking for this one. This rap scene link. youtube.com/watch. V=ETXTMKBOJGY hits me hard every time. Look into my eyes so you know what it's like to live a life not knowing what a normal life's like. Apostrophe. Snippy Come Home. Snippy left Charlie Brown to be with his original owner Lila. What a tearjerker. Man, I cold lived a good life not knowing that existed, bro. The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. The kiddo losing his caption America was the straw that broke the camel's back. The scene with his son sleeping on him in the restroom and someone trying to get in the door and Chris holding it shot and just crying. Waterworks. Will Smith being an amazing actor helps too because I felt that movie in my bones. A Silent Voice. My partner put this on at a party saying it is a love story. By the end, my apartment full of 20 somethings, most of which say Anam is useless, is weeping staring at the screen. It's insane how many people underestimate anime and animated movies. My girl. He can't see without his glasses. Bridge to Terabithia and my girl. He needs his glasses. Nope. All over for me. It literally makes me sad even talking about it. The movie AI literally traumatized me for months, maybe years as a little kid. I still get mad thinking about it to this day. Duck the people that wrote that movie. Unnecessarily sad. Dicks. Fun fact about this movie. The great Stanley Kubrick was going to make this movie until he realized that his perception of mankind is too bleak and cynical for the story. He begged his friend, Steven Spielberg, to make the movie instead because he'll have a more sentimental approach to it. Spielberg kindly said no at the time. When Kubrick passed, Spielberg decided to make the movie to honor his late friend. All that's to say, it could have been a lot more ducked up. The Land Before Time. When I first saw it as a kid, it was the first time that I realized that my parents could die. That thought had never even really occurred to me at that point. Even now as an adult, that scene link. B/8RDRABFFHJ4, where he thinks he sees her, but it's just his shadow and the narrator says, then Littlefoot knew for certain he was alone. Still gets to me. My mom died when I was a kid. This, Bambi, and that ducking elephant mom scene in Dumbo really got me. Oh my. I'm sorry. Those were hard scenes with a mom. I can't imagine. I hope you have other maternal people in your life. Not to replace her, but you know. Arrival. I thought the whole story was beautiful, but very sad. I took my wife to see it the next day, but wouldn't tell her why it was sad. I remember the moment she figured it out. She was sitting right beside me, and I heard her start crying. The theme song doesn't help. One of the most beautifully devastating scores I've ever heard. Maximum Richter, Nature of Daylight. There is a tiny desk concert with him where a small ensemble plays it. It's immediate and vital, and I love it though it breaks my heart. It's immediate and vital, and I love it though it breaks my heart. Link. youtube.com/watch. V=ONLDJP83 yak link. youtube.com/watch. V=ONLDJP83 yak. Milo and Otis. I don't know many people who have seen this movie. There are some tense moments on the river and I remember being so panicked as a kid while watching that. Pursuit of Happiness. The dad did everything for his son, and it reminds me of my life. I saw it a few weeks ago for the first time. The one where they stayed in the bathroom really did it for me. Yeah, that was the most heartbreaking part. Last of the Mohicans. That music. The ending. If you really understand what happened to the Native Americans, it's ducking heavy shit. Dancer in the Dark. Was wondering if anyone was gonna mention this one. It has haunted me for years. And BJRK. What an amazing performance. Exclamation mark. Exclamation mark. Please click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.